All right.
Introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Ryan Shaw. I am a co-founder of Playa Beach Productions. I direct a little bit. I write a lot. Edit a little bit, though I don't like it. And yeah, it's me.
Mr. Ryan Shaw, what has been your proudest moment as a founder of Playa Beach?
Probably being on set for Thursday, March 31st. Second time I had written something and then let someone else direct. Or third time. Um, but I mean, being on set that day, just doing nothing and not having to stress about anything, and then seeing what you write play out, that was really fun. Everyone on that set killed it. I was a nuisance on that set. I had to be told to be quiet a lot of the times, but I was enjoying myself that day. Yeah.
Who pitched Playa Beach to you? How did they pitch it, and what was your reaction?
So I remember this vividly, vividly. I think it was my freshman year. I was in Aldridge Park at UCI. I get a Instagram DM from John Melcher. Hey, man, I'm doing some production company stuff. He probably didn't phrase it like that. Do you want to sit down and meet with us? And then so we met at the taqueria that used to be in Campus Plaza. Miguel used to work there. We sat down in one of those tables. I remember it was, who was it? It was the co-founders. It was Oshan. It was who else was there?
Either Harrison or Oscar was there.
I think they might have both been there.
Yeah.
Pitched the idea of, it wasn't Playa Beach Productions back then. It was, we had a different name at that time, Sunset Avenue, which I voted for in the name crisis. But I'm glad we landed on Playa Beach. I remember vividly. That's when John also pitched his idea for Suburbia.
Oh,
I still remember that plot to this day. It was about, I think it was like psycho thriller, about the suburbs, and I think that's become kind of Exit. And also, I was pitched for an idea of a Star Wars, what do they call it? I don't want to call it Star Wars fanfic because that's not what that is. Fan film, not fanfic. Um, and then from there, I think I was a little skeptical at first. I won't lie. I was like, "Who are these guys?" And then I think I wrote Bush Flowers, and I was like, "I'll use these guys." And from there, we're here now.
yeah. So, how does it feel since then to have been the writer of a majority of our projects and also being the most decorated writer of Playa
I wouldn't say decorated. I would say I don't think one little college award makes me decorated, but I think it's been a fun experience just because I think my writing has changed so much. I think it's fluctuated. And it's funny because I actually wrote Thursday, March 31st and another upcoming project earlier in my college career. And just looking at that work compared to Losing versus Set Days, compared to The Dreams of Michael A. Morse and This is an Intervention, I think I've just like honed what my style is, which I think is very stylized and hopefully clever dialogue. But yeah, it's definitely been an adventure. I think it's nice having so many faces I can write for. I mean, I think recently I've written a lot of roles for Brayden Delaney. Shout out. I don't know if that's his last name, but a lot of that is for Miguel Reyna too, because he was probably my star for like the first 8 films I ever wrote.
So, as a director, you don't always write what you direct. And it seems like you have a very unique directing style because you often like to let the actors riff, and you don't always feel like you need to keep them barred to what you have written. So, do you have a very loose idea of directing?
Um, that's interesting because Losing was something that was I had directed and I had wrote, and that was very not script orientated. That was like very movement and camera orientated. And that's kind of been my philosophy for all my directing is I want to focus on the camera. I believe actors can do their thing. Like I trust the people we cast. A lot of the time, I don't like giving too much direction because at some point it becomes acting versus characters existing. Sometimes the distinction is kind of blurred, but yeah, I would say I'm a very hands-off director in terms of actors. Hopefully, it's something I can adjust a little bit because I'm very hands off. But I love all of the actors that I work with. I mean, and this is an intervention. Hunter, Braden, Tommy, Natalia, they all made me laugh with their own unique additions. And losing was probably 80% improv. I mean, rat suit, um, all of most of Miguel's dialogue and that beginning bathroom part was just totally improvised day of. And those are the parts that when I'm watching a film back that I remember most fondly and that I end up enjoying the most. Um, but yeah,
With that being said, is there a favorite character that you've written?
my favorite character, I was thinking about this earlier, is 100% Pax from This Is an Intervention, played by Braden. I just love the aspect of a character who is flawed and is aware that they are flawed, and that is Pax to a T. And when I was beginning to write that script, I was very lost because originally it was the three characters played by Hunter, Tommy, and Natalia. And I knew I needed an extra one. I knew I needed something else. And I struggled so long, and then it came to me that this idea of a very tormented character, and I love the habit of the rubber bands. I think that speaks so much without ever really acknowledging it too many times in the film. And I think Brayden plays that character to a T. And I think to this day, my favorite line that I've written might be, "I fundamentally dislike myself." Because I didn't intend it to be, I didn't know this was as funny as the line is. Maybe it's not funny. But day we shot that probably took like 8 to 10 takes of that. And I think you can see Tommy giggle in the final cut of the film from Brayden saying, "I fundamentally hate myself." Or I fundamentally dislike myself. But I think that line speaks volumes about that character. And yeah, I love Pax. Good question.
So you're in school right now. You're still growing as a person, as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel like film has affected your trajectory into life beyond as an adult?
I came to UCI as an education major. And the summer before I began school, I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. So I switched into film. I didn't tell my parents. They were cool with it though. And the way I tell the story is sophomore year, I also added a criminology double major, which feeds into law. And when people ask me about it, I say, I want a job after college. Um, but I think film teaches so much about working with people. I mean, making connections. I mean, every set goes wrong in some way. And the fun of film is making something that has gone wrong turn out the best it possibly can. And that's always been my philosophy. Directing, that's been my philosophy. Editing wise, that's why it's hard to write and then direct, because you write something so perfect in your head. Then when you direct it, you're like, what was I thinking? But I think I've carried so much of what I learned in film to how I approach life and to how I'm gonna approach, jobs in the future, whether it be film or not in film. And yeah.
Did you ever think that your work would be recognized and that it would reach the audiences that it did when you first started this?
Well, what audiences, first of all?
Or you've taken your films to film festivals, film screenings,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they've garnered quite a few views on YouTube.
I mean, I won't lie. It's kind of like an ego thing when someone says, I really enjoyed the writing, which is probably a bad thing because writing should never be the best part of a film. But I mean, when people say they found something funny, that's always a compliment to me. And it's always like incredibly heartbreaking when I expect audiences to react in a certain way to a certain line and they don't. That's always a heartbreaking experience. But in terms of audiences, yeah, I'm very appreciative of where we're at. I mean, I don't take for granted anything we've accomplished as a production studio, whether it be 50 views, whether it be 100 views, whether it be, 800 views. I mean, I appreciate every single person who watches, every person who comments, every person who gives me a form of criticism or a compliment. I mean, I always prefer compliments to criticisms, but I pretend like I'm open to both. And yeah.
So growing up, what was your relationship with film, with cinema?
It's funny because I always remember, taking my iPad and we would do these short little iMovies with my cousins. And I didn't know what directing was. I didn't know what directing was, honestly, until or hit college. But I would be the studio director with my iPad, pointing at my cousins. We'd make up these lines. I remember vividly, I was probably 8, and my neighbors played their short film for me. And it was this like really stupid Hunger Games remake. Sword flew out, killed someone. It wasn't like a CGI sword. It was like literally just like a plastic sword that you can see bounces off the person. And I watched it, and I'm like, yeah, like this is fun. This is fun to watch, even though it's like semi stupid. And then I would make movies with my cousins. Didn't actually start writing until probably my senior year of high school is when I really began to write. A lot of the scripts that I wrote in senior year of high school, you guys haven't read yet. Maybe you will one day. But I think it's some pretty good work. I'm Ryan Shaw, one of the co-founders of Playa Beach Production. If you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing. It would really help us out. Thank you.